Hey, what's up guys? Chris here for Kriscoart Productions. Welcome to this week's video. Today we explore some simple yet effective tips and tricks that can save you time, money, and can overall improve the quality of your music video. So I recently did a music video for my friend Wolf. He collaborated with an amazing producer, Carlos Martins, and they featured a very talented singer, Eric Brenner. They made this amazing song, and that personally made my job a lot easier because when the music is good, ideas kind of flow out very easily. Now the shoot was really fun, but due to time limitations and budget restraints, it was somewhat stressful at times, and I made some mistakes, but I also did some things that really worked well, and I've learned a lot of new things along the way. So I thought it'd be worth sharing with you guys some of the things that I learned and some of the things that I apply when I'm shooting music videos. So the first thing, the most important thing is story. Just because you're doing a music video, don't take it as a performance piece. Story is just as important in music videos as in any other form of filmmaking. So first things first, get a solid concept, be creative, and share it with whoever's paying for the music video. Obviously, you want to be on the same page with the producer and the artists of the band, or whatever the case may be, because you don't want to shoot something that they don't like. So some of the issues that I had were staying within budget, staying within time constraints, and that's an issue that we all face when really doing anything related to filmmaking. So here's a few things that can kind of help out. You should really make a shot list for each day of shooting. So try to break down your story and your shots and kind of group them together and shoot them based on what can save you time and money. So for example, we had to shoot in the woods during the day, and then we had to get some night shots in a cave. So we went location scouting, we found some good areas around the caves, and we shot some of the footage there for the wood scenes, and then we proceeded to go inside the cave later at night, later that same day, to get the cave shots. So that's just one example of just getting all the gear in one place and just getting the most out of that one location and out of that one single day. Because every time you have to go out with gear and with crew, that's always time and money being spent. Another thing that ties with time and money is making a schedule. So every position should have their own schedule so they know what to do, what time to show up. This can be helpful if you have multiple setups, if you're focusing on one scene and you have a larger crew than what we had, then you can have part of that crew to kind of move ahead and start setting up the next scene while you're still wrapping up the previous scene. This way everything flows a lot faster and you never have any dead time where you have your talent waiting. Another important thing that I made sure I did on set is to not hide away from whoever's paying for the gig. And that's something I tried not to do during the shoot. So whenever I would do a take and I would review it, I would make sure that he was also there to check it out and see if he liked it or not. So the ideal way to do this is having a second monitor just for the producer or whoever paid for the gig. But obviously I didn't have that luxury, so I made sure that I got him involved in the process. And a lot of times he even mentioned some things that actually helped the shoot move along. If you have a second pair of eyes to review a clip, they can even point things out that you were completely oblivious to, and you're also making them happy, so there's that. All right, so far this is all sort of basic stuff, but now let's move on to some of the more complicated stuff. It's not really complicated, it's still pretty easy, but it can be really tricky when you have a lot of stress and you're busy focusing on a ton of different stuff on set. So another very important key element in your music video is the performance that you're getting out of talent. Now, whether it's a singer performing their piece or a band playing their instruments or even an actor playing out a scene, it's important to get the right performance out of them, because if you don't, then that can kind of affect your whole music video and knock down the quality quite a bit. So here are a few things that I found very useful when dealing with talent. Luckily in this last music video, I had no issues with talent. Everything was very easy to communicate. But if you run into some complications, or if your talent is someone that doesn't really do this professionally and they're just doing a favor as a friend, then try to get them comfortable before shooting. Don't just ignore them, start setting up and focus on your shots and leave talent isolated, or don't make them uncomfortable. Talk to them before shooting, even run through some of the performances with them. Just do whatever you can to make them part of the process and make them as comfortable as possible. Now, some people are not so comfortable in front of camera or in front of a larger crew of people just staring at them and watching them perform. It can be tricky at times, especially if it's just friends, just doing a favor for you. So something that can help out with these sort of situations is to roll as much as possible. And then in editing, just pick the best parts of that performance. And when I mean roll as much as possible is roll in between takes when you feel is appropriate, or even roll during rehearsals, because sometimes if your talent is acting out a scene or performing a piece, and you tell them it's just a rehearsal and you're not recording, that can actually put them on ease a little bit, and they can relax and not feel as much pressure as an actual take. Also, rolling in between takes, there's a lot of spontaneous laughs that happen on set, and capturing that for your talent can bring a whole level of just naturalness in acting that can't be achieved just by acting. All right, so we talked about talent performances, but there's also the camera side of performances. What to do with your camera movements when shooting a music video. Now, the key things to keep in mind when you're planning out what kind of camera movements, what kind of shots you need to do, is to think of the story and to think of the tone that that story evokes for that particular scene. So if it's your talent running, like in most of my music video, or if it's a party scene or any really kind of fun scene, upbeat scene, match that with your camera movement. So move around and communicate that energy with your audience through your camera movement. And that translates also to post. Whenever you're editing, whenever you're cutting the actual music video, if it's upbeat, do quick cuts. And another thing to keep in mind is to cut to the groove of the song, but not necessarily to the beat. And what I mean by that is get a feel of the song and feel where the right cut is. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's every time you hear a snare or a kick, you need to cut. That can be very effective sometimes, but a lot of music videos overdo it. And the problem with that is that your audience sort of builds a pattern in their mind, and they're expecting a cut every time that a kick and a snare happens. And that can be distracting sometimes. So try to find that right balance of cutting on a kick, on a snare, on a particular sound effect or instrument on the song, but don't overuse that technique because then it can just be distracting. And lastly, when you have your whole cut done, you want to apply some color. Again, just think about story and think of the tone that it evokes for that particular scene. But at the end of the day, the best way to keep things flowing and the best way to get everybody comfortable is to just keep the set fun. Don't make it this really stiff environment where you can't joke around and pressured by time, which you are pressured by time, but don't show that to your crew and especially to your talent. Distractions can be good. I'm not gonna lie, we had maybe a few too many distractions.
Shine the light behind it.
That's a lot of moist mouth. But you need breaks, you need distractions on set, because sometimes, if you're shooting especially for long shoots, 8-hour days, 12-hour days, if you don't have breaks, that can drive people mad. You need to have breaks. It's always a good idea to have food and drinks. Just check with talent, see what they like, see what their preferences are. Anyways, these are some of the main things that I keep in mind when I'm preparing and when I'm shooting a music video. But at the end of the day, just have fun with it, be creative, and obviously make your client happy. The music video will be released near the end of August. I'm really excited for that. But in the meantime, check out everybody that worked on this. They're all very talented people, so I'll post their SoundClouds for all the musicians and the YouTube channels and Vimeo links for everybody that helped me out on this. Anyways, my name is Chris Jr. for Kriscoart Productions. I'll see you next time.